Hey everyone, I'm Dash, and today I'm talking with Shavak Sinanan. Shavak is a quantitative researcher by day and a passionate health and wellness practitioner. I wanted to bring Shavak onto our series of vlogs as his approach to integrating natural wellness habits is highly effective, well researched, and his discipline equally admirable. Shavak is also a keen advocate for environmental protection. So, without further ado, welcome, Shavak. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Dash. Yeah, there's some very kind words. Yeah. So I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really great to be on, and congratulations on all of the success, man. This is it's really, I know it's been quite a journey for you, and I think that Guys Rich is doing really really well, and yeah, we're all really really proud of you, man.
Well, it's a lot of my enthusiasm actually came from the likes of yourself, so thank you as well. I've known Shavak for some time now, actually about a year or two properly, but we obviously were acquainted from going to the same university.
Yeah.
And Shavak, if you just very briefly want to tell the world where you're from, because that accent is it's quite a exciting accent.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to get. Like I often get a lot of questions. So I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, but I've spent a lot of time in England. So I guess it's sort of a bit of a strange one. But yeah, it's definitely, I think most people can pick up that there's at least a bit of Caribbean in there. So yeah, that's pretty much the story of the accent. So you're gonna have to hear this sort of strange accent for the next maybe 10 or 20 minutes or so, right? Yeah.
So Shavak, I mean, the Caribbean, in my mind, I'm yet to go there, but it feels like for me, when I imagine it, beautiful beaches, natural wildlife, beautiful surroundings. And I guess the question that I want to start off really is, we're talking about natural wellness, and has that been ingrained in you from when you were growing up, or more so the question is, when did you choose to make natural living and chemical-free products a lifestyle choice?
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't something that was ingrained in me growing up. I mean, I think on the whole, the way you describe it, the Caribbean being sort of very, sort of an eco-friendly, very natural, untouched sort of place. I mean, there are aspects, and that is true to some extent. But I think, Trinidad and Tobago, which is the country that I'm from, we actually became very oil rich, sort of in the 20th century, and and with all of that, extra cash floating around, we sort of became sort of, very, our taste sort of adapted to sort of the Western, the Western sort of desire. And yeah, so a lot of our products and food stuff and that sort of thing sort of follow that pattern, that Western pattern, and in particular from the States. And yeah, so I think that shaped my upbringing more than anything else. But I think that was sort of the reason, funnily enough, that's sort of what prompted me to really do so much research, because I felt that, I remember the first time I ever sort of became aware of, really natural versus, synthetic or sort of hyper produced items, sort of. I remember I mean, maybe this is true for you as well. We all, remember that phase where all of the footballers and all of the actors, and it was sort of like, had these really, really like sort of gelled up hair, like really spiky gelled up hair. I don't know if you remember that at all. If that was something that, like, a phase that you ever went through, but it was something that was really popular, I think, in the 90s.
And I remember the curtains phase, but that was.
Oh right! Oh yeah. Okay, no. So that was So so basically, like, it was just sort of like, and we used to have these guys at school that used this like sort of inordinate amount of gel, and it would spike, so just get really really spiky, sort of hairstyles, and I mean, everyone was sort of into it, and we just thought there was no harm in doing that, right? But I think, around then, you kind of started hearing a bit just a bit of research sort of trickling through about how, that the alcohol in the hair products was not very good. So it could cause sort of long-term hair loss and that sort of thing. And I mean, anyone who wants to have really fancy hairstyles really does not want to become bald later on because of some gel that they use sort of for a period of time in their youth, right? So I think, so it sort of, became something that a lot of people paid attention to, including myself. And that was sort of the first time I really started sort of looking at, you know what, maybe the stuff that we're putting on in and on our bodies isn't, maybe we need to take a bit more care. And the ball just started rolling from then on. And I started looking at all of my cosmetics, and I think your body starts giving you some signals. So for example, I think a lot of people get really, they get irritated and they get some discomfort with their antiperspirant. Like that's the most common one that I've heard in my conversations with. I mean, I don't know if you have you've heard that in your chats with different people, but it's the most common one that I've heard. It was the discomfort with antiperspirants because it's not really natural. This is sort of where your body produces these areas where your body produces the most sweat, and for you to get sort of use something artificial to sort of just seal them off. It's not really something that you would think is sort of very natural. So and whenever your body gives you that signal, you feel a bit of discomfort, or I remember I used to get sometimes sort of these these swollen nodules under my arms, right? I know it sounds a bit gross, right? But
and I think that was just from using normal supermarket shelf deodorant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in that antiperspirant, exactly. Yeah, and since I switched to natural deodorants, like I've never had them, basically. Right, yeah. So I mean, just to add that. So I mean, your body gives you these signals. You do a little bit of research, and you really start opening up the can of worms, so to speak, about what you put on your body. So I think that's sort of where it started. If you to kind of sort of, I mean, cuts a slightly long, cuts along, slightly shorter. It sort of started with the hair gel. And then I just sort of started looking at everything, and then you read about the mineral oil and the parabens and all of this sort of stuff, and then of course you have to internalize all that research, right? Because some of it is conflicting, and that's often a very daunting task. I mean, it's and not everyone has the time to do it. I just made the time because I thought, look, I didn't want to be putting this stuff on my body for the rest of my life and then regret it later. So I thought a little bit of extra time now, do some research. And then you know that you're making the right choices going forward. And if something were to change, if there's scientific research that I see that says, oh well, you know what, this particular product is bad and this one is good, and I'm happy to change. I'm not set in my ways. But from what I've read and what my research that I've done, the natural products are definitely the way to go in terms of sort of what you put on your body and inside of your body, basically. Yeah.
And I think something you mentioned before, which is quite telling, actually, is I think we underestimate the power of our body. Our body will give us the signs. It'll tell us. It'll give us clues. It'll just as we need to throw up when we've digested food that's not kind to us.
Yes.
The same way you mentioned you started to notice those nodules.
Yes.
Your body will give you the signs, that you're not nourishing it properly, or utilizing products that's not ideal. And that's where I have always believed, at least with my journey, that a lot of this is experimentative, and everyone has different body types, and certain natural products will work for some better than others as well. And I believe that's why I've always, whenever I've spoken to you, I've always enjoyed your approach, because you research thoroughly and then you do the practice as well.
I mean, I try to do my research. I try to make sure that it's unbiased, because obviously, if you're going to go into researching something with with prejudice, then the results that you're going to get are going to be biased, right? Like that's just how it is. So if you go in thinking, and also, right, like, the internet is a funny place, right? if you believe that, for example, petrochemicals on your body, it's a good thing, then you can find 100 websites that say that it's perfectly harmless and it's really, in fact, really good for you, right? Like there's a lot of fake information, there's a lot of fake news out there, right? Like, so you need to be really discerning, I think. And I've really, I've tried my best to sift through the bullshit, just put it really bluntly. And again, I think, I'm also very open. If you send me an article tomorrow that says, almond milk is really bad because of this, then I'd look at it, I'd consider it, I would sort of run it against in the context of the current research, and I'd be like, oh no, you know what, the arguments being made here like are quite strong, so I need to strongly consider this. So I'm not, the kind of person that just be like, right, almond milk is the best thing in the world no matter what. There's always new research coming out, especially with this stuff. It's such a dynamic era right now in natural and organic products that we constantly have to just reevaluate what we believe to be true, and you feel better if you learn something. Once you learn something, you should always feel better, even if it's not what you expected, and even if it's not what you wanted to learn. You should always feel better discovering that truth, right?
Correct. Yeah. I think that's a good summary. I just want to draw back. I know we've touched a little bit on, your usage of natural products. You've referenced natural deodorants. Can you sort of, for the audience, sort of mention a bit more about what other natural products you might use on a daily basis?
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really good question because you kind of like, I think we sort of use this blanket sort of natural cosmetics, and I think a lot of people don't realize the scope of natural cosmetics, right? Like they might think, oh yeah, natural cosmetics, what does that mean? Oh, I use a lotion that doesn't have any parabens in it. Cool. No, natural cosmetics range from your soap to your toothpaste, to your mouthwash, to your aftershave, to the soap that you're using to shave, both male and female. And pretty much everything that you put in your deodorant, as I said, your hair products, right? Like, I'm fortunate to have full head of hair. So the product that I use is a natural, like water-based one. So all of the things that I just mentioned, I use on a daily basis. And I also use almond, like an oil, a body oil that has the base is almond oil, but there's argan and there's lots of other oils in there. And the reason why I use an oil actually and not a lotion is just because lotions are actually, even the organic ones, actually, I think something like 75% water, something like that. So you end up getting a lot of volume, but really little actual moisturizing power. So I use actually really small sort of moisturizing oil. I just use that every time I shower. And the soaps that I use are all natural, sort of very natural ingredients. Same thing with the toothpaste and mouthwash, all of that stuff. So yeah.
And did that take you some time to get used to? I mean, I know from my experience as well. You referenced soaps, and I obviously had to do a lot of research when I was curating the kit, and you actually are a really good guide there as well because of your experience in utilizing some of the oral healthcare products. But I know from my experience that something like a lot of natural products will be positioned as natural, and then they're not entirely natural because they're still taking shortcuts in the usage of sodium lauryl sulfate, which is actually you can understand the need for it in certain products like this because it's valuable to be. It's the foaming agent.
It's a foaming agent, right? Yeah.
And for me, there was a mental block when I started using even a natural soap, natural shampoo, because I realized I wasn't getting the same level of foam, and mentally your mind doesn't agree whether am I actually getting the same level of cleanliness?
Of cleanliness, that's right. Yeah, that's a really, really good point, actually. Yeah, I think that's a hard one for That's a hard one, I think, because everyone thinks that the cleansing power of an agent is sort of directly correlated with how much bubbles or foam you get, right? So soap and toothpaste are two good examples of that. And I always remember chemistry teacher of mine saying for O levels exactly that it's not a lot of people think that, but that's not actually true. But that being said, so I completely agree with you that it did take a little while, so you don't feel like that you're getting necessarily getting the full sort of level of cleanliness, but that goes away really quickly if you trust the science and you believe in it. You don't, that's more of a psychological thing, I think, than sort of a scientific thing. So that didn't bother me that for very long, if at all. One thing that did happen to me was that I started using a particular brand of toothpaste that was meant to be natural. And it was actually natural. They did not lie on their packaging. But when I read the ingredients more closely, so this is after about 6 months of using it, I realized that they were using palm oil.
Yeah.
And a lot of the products that have palm oil in them source the palm oil unsustainably and unethically from places like Indonesia, where there's a lot of deforestation and that sort of thing, just to sort of get this palm oil because it's cheap and and they use it in a lot of cosmetics.
We won't name and shame brands here.
That's the thing, right?
There's a lot of publicity around that, and exactly as you said, that's just more testament to your sort of research that you'll take it a step further and really understand where they're sourcing their ingredients from. So
it was a hard one because I really liked the toothpaste actually. I thought it was really nice. It tasted really good. It was really nice. And then when I realized it was palm oil, I was like, no, I have to drop this. Even though it was natural, like the environmental side of me, because I'm really passionate, as you mentioned, about a lot of this stuff. I don't know if we touched on this, but I've recently become vegan. But before that, I was for about a decade or so, I was pescatarian.
Okay.
Which meant that I was eating fish. I would eat fish and a bit of eggs, a bit of dairy. But then I've now cut all of that sort of stuff out and I've become vegan because I mean, not to get too much into that, but it was sort of a personal journey for me, and I feel that even if we put the science, because I think the science of meat eating, I think that's a debatable one. And I'm always really happy to sit with others and talk about whether human beings were actually intended to eat meat, because I think it's a really interesting one, and I think there's arguments on both sides. But for me, even if you put that aside, the environmental impacts of meat eating, it just really got to me at, for the last year or so. And I decided if I was going to be, as you say, true to my practice and true to my word about this sort of stuff, then I really needed to adopt this lifestyle, and I've done so, and I haven't looked back. It's opened up my eyes to a lot of issues, not that I was kind of willing, like psychologically and emotionally willing to confront after having taken that step, because sometimes you like to kind of hide behind a bit of your own like rituals and what you're kind of comfortable with. And I think I might have been doing that a little bit, but having sort of taken this step, it's allowed me to sort of really confront a lot of issues sort of head on and confidently. And that's been really, really good as well. So just back to the toothpaste. I found out that it was palm oil, and being very, passionate about the environment and that sort of thing, I decided that it wasn't a product that was suitable, or it didn't sort of resonate well with my ethics. So I decided to opt for a non-palm oil based.
I'm actually really glad that you raised the point actually about your veganism.
Great.
And I mean, it's a lot about what I've been documenting, and the same thing about Gaia's Riches oral healthcare kit and the community I'm building. Part of the reason why I wanted you on this chat actually is that reason, because people will always I find that people sometimes look to natural products and say, okay, I'll take the step towards natural products, and this should derive into X results. And health and wellness isn't just utilizing certain natural products. It's all encompassing. Yes. And the curated kit I've developed as well is built on the 100% non-toxic products, but as well as that, it's the Ayurvedic principles. So whatever you put into your body and how you treat your body as a whole will then reflect on the outside, and the natural products is a part of that. So I love that you referenced the veganism, and I'll put my hand up, but you're a little bit more dedicated than I am on that front, and I still have some evolution to go on that, and it's starting to get to me over the last year or so to try and get off meat as well, but it's not so easy, and we can go into that chat a long time.
I mean, that's probably a chat for another time. And I will say that I think for me, having gone through it as a meat eater, transitioning out of that, I think it's a very personal journey. It's not something that you can just snap your fingers and say, oh, no, this is, or especially, I think it's really, really hard to accept that change if you're not fully convinced, you haven't fully convinced yourself that it's the right thing to do. And that's a very personal thing. And I think that, so I don't ever think that anyone should rush it because they feel pressure from those around them or the media or anything like that. It's a very, very, very personal journey, I think.
So just to reference your experience, I mean, how long have you been a vegan for now?
So I've been a vegan now for coming up to about 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really short time, but I've been pescatarian for about a decade before that.
Right. And are you able to sort of share a little bit about how differently you feel? Are you noticing better balance? Are you noticing, are you noticing your body functioning better? What are there any experiential benefits that you're experiencing?
So I think I did experience so when I became pescatarian, I definitely experienced a change. I felt more energetic. I felt definitely just sort of my digestion improved. I started waking up early in the morning, going to sleep early at night, just sort of very, you just have, your body again sends you these signals that it's just running a bit better. It's just naturally sort of healthier. When I switched off of the fish and eggs and dairy, I did that incrementally. So I kind of went off of dairy, then went off of egg. I went off of dairy a couple of years ago and then went off of eggs and then went off of fish last. So I didn't really notice sort of, over the last 6 months, so like a massive, sort of step change. So I think I was just becoming more, it's cutting these things out of my diet sort of very gradually. So the change was gradual. But I have to say that in all of my life, hands down, this is the best that I've ever felt. I feel that the stuff that I'm putting in my body, even though I might have something naughty here and there, like, a vegan donut or something like that, it's not, and the thing about it is like, what I really love about the vegan diet is that you've cut down so much of the fat and the naughty stuff already just by cutting it out, is that you can actually have the really tasty vegan stuff in much larger quantities than you would be able to if you were eating meat, right? Like if I was eating meat, I would only be able to give maybe have myself, half of a donut or something, whereas I feel like I've consumed too much calories for the day, because these things, the science is calories in and calories out, right? Like nobody debates that. Like that's everybody. But I think the theories differ on the best way to get these calories, right? Like nobody's arguing about the calories in, calories out basic formula for health and weight loss and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that like now that I've cut meat out, like I can consume way more calories on the tasty like stuff, like like vegan Nutella and like donuts and that sort of thing, and it's really nice. Like I don't have to feel that guilty about it, so it's really good.
I also agree that none of this should be a prison sentence. It's
Yeah.
I think you're dedicated. You enjoy what you do as well. But even if someone was starting to integrate some of these practices in their day to day, which isn't easy, exactly what you said. Incrementally is usually the best thing to do. You just
I think so. Yeah.
don't go cold turkey, and I think sometimes just as we need to listen to our body,
Yes.
we have to balance our body. We have to balance our mind. I use meditation and breathing a lot for that.
Yes. Yeah.
I know you use yoga.
Yes.
But I think
I'm also a big fan.
yeah, and we have to balance the soul, and sometimes the naughty stuff is really good for the soul.
That's the thing. Like, you denying yourself these things. It's sort of. I mean, look, I'm not. I think so. For example, I think earlier this. I think it was last year. I was I was going to Trinidad for Carnival, and I decided that I was going to go on this ridiculous diet and just like really get sort of really lean, and I did, and I leaned out quite a bit.
I do remember
really
that guy. I definitely vouch for that, and
like I mean, it was a nice experience. It was really good doing that. But I do feel that the healthier way to approach that, sort of going for a look is fine. Like, I think we're all human beings, right? And you have to understand that wanting to portray yourself and have yourself portrayed in a certain way and have yourself viewed in a certain manner, I think that's actually a good thing. But there's a healthy way to do it and there's an unhealthy way to do it. And we've seen a lot of cases where, you have these, cases where people are sort of starving themselves or restricting their diet so much that it becomes an obsession, and then they end up with eating disorders and that sort of thing. I think that, it's really, and then there's a healthy way to do it, which is not necessarily the way that I did it. I think maybe my diet was a bit hardcore, and I just really sort of, tried to cut out most of the non-essential calories, from my diet, and just, sort of, yeah. So, I mean, we're all human, right? Nobody's saying that they're absolutely perfect and they the best way to do it. But upon reflection, having gone through that, I can say that I would prefer now to live my life in a way that I have a sustained healthy or sustainable healthy diet. And when I say sustainable, I mean in the environmental sense as well, because I'm vegan now, and I want to have a diet that I feel that is not detrimental to the environment, but also sustainable in the sense that I don't have to put too much effort into maintaining it.
Yeah.
I don't have to do, because the big thing everyone talks about a lot now, it's sort of like your food prep, right? Like, okay, we have to do food prep, you have to parcel out your meals, and you have these guys that are doing this, like, trying to get in there, get in the gym, 4 or 5 times a week, and they have to have like their chicken breast and like broccoli, and they're doing their meal prep and all that sort of stuff. Like, I think one of those, I mean, if you can keep that up for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years of your life, then fine, that's great. But I don't know if most of us are in that position.
Yeah.
That you can actually, so I want to do something that I feel like I can keep up for a long period of time, because I don't know, that's just the kind of person that I am. I want to put in practices now where I say, oh no, this is something that I'm going to integrate into my life, and it's not a phase, basically.
Yeah.
So, and the one thing that I will add to that about the vegan diet, like, I think I haven't really said anything about what I actually eat as a vegan. But because one of the first things you say, oh well, if you're vegan, you don't get enough protein. I get enough protein. Like, I have more beans and like more like legumes and like more than like any other thing. And I definitely like, and there are a lot more people that are a lot more qualified than I am to talk about getting protein as a vegan. I just wanted to add that really quickly.
What's your favorite vegan dish then?
I think my lentils, I do really good. So I don't know if you call it I guess we would call it dal, right? But but for the for those that don't know the word dal, lentils. I think that's my favorite. Lentils, either lentils and quinoa, lentils and brown rice, with a bit of salad, a bit of broccoli, maybe some other starchy stuff on the side, bit of sweet potato, that sort of thing. It's kind of like that's my go-to.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, Shavak, we can always, I feel that we can talk for hours and hours sometimes on these topics, and
Yeah.
more than this. And obviously, I wanted to focus on health and wellness. And,
Yes.
you know, we're not just crazy health and wellness and environmental protection
Yeah.
fiends. We do meet on the squash court sometimes as well.
Of course, yeah. We know, we need to get our games going. Actually, Dash, yeah, definitely.
Exactly, and the thing is, I think everything that you've mentioned here, it may even be worth having you on a second time to get further into depth into.
I'd love to, yeah.
And even the yoga stuff, because you know I know you've taken on that quite significantly as well. So maybe we'll do that some other time. But I'm really happy that I got to share, you know, your journey on this, because it's that community building, and I really believe in sort of, I gained a lot of enthusiasm from other people, and I'm sure other people will share that. And you're always learning, you know, we're learning from our own journey, but others as well. And you're a perfect example, because as I said, I think you've integrated so many different aspects of health and wellness.
Oh, thanks, man. That's really nice.
And that's really what, you know, that's really ultimately what's valuable in life, is that seeking that balance. And I think you've done really well to do that, and I've seen your journey as well. The last question I really wanted to just sort of move to really was, we've obviously, you've been a part of my journey in building Gaia's Riches as well, and you're obviously quite familiar with oral healthcare, and you utilize oral healthcare products on a daily basis. I guess the question to you is, what appeals most to you? Obviously, as unbiased as possible, but what appeals most to you about Gaia's Riches, and which of those products or the kit as a whole is you know, would you greatly appreciate to integrate into your life?
So I think I appreciate Gaia's Riches, because I think you've really focused in, and this actually ties back into our the first bit of our conversation. You know, so that maybe when you say natural products, you know, maybe not everyone is aware that natural products can range from pretty much every sort of everything that you use. It's not just your lotion or your aftershave or whatever. You can get, or, you know, sort of natural products from your soap to your toothpaste and that sort of thing. For me, I think the you know, so that you've actually sort of zoned in on something that it's really, really important, you know, because there's not much out there. As, you know, and again, we talked about the toothpaste that I had that had palm oil and that sort of thing. So the oral care is a big deal, and we really want to have. It's really awesome to see like a variety of options for oral care in the natural space. The chocolate powder for me would probably be my number one choice. Like, I think because the cleaning powers of charcoal. So on top of like any, you know, because it's something you can add on top of any routine, right? Like any cleaning sort of regimen. So the chocolate powder is definitely something that I would be very keen to integrate.
It's a completely different kind of detoxification to the oil pulling, for example.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So and I know that you've done a lot of work and research into the benefits of oil pulling. I think oil pulling has, and correct me if I'm wrong because you're the expert, it has like a very rich history actually. It's not a new thing. It's been going on for a long period of time, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, strikingly for me, actually, I knew about the oil pulling. It's for centuries. It's an old Ayurvedic practice, but I don't know if you caught my interview with Emmy Luca, who's a nutritionist. She comes from a Brazilian background. Right. And she was talking about her grandmother utilizing charcoal, 60, 70 years ago, and how that, she's got fantastic teeth. She's still got a natural set of teeth, and
right.
She actually, that dates back quite far back as well. And
Oh, right. Okay, I didn't even know that actually.
More and more stories about about how far dated it is actually, but It's really interesting. As you said, the more you delve into this, the more you keep learning, and the more you find out information that you didn't know.
Yeah, and chocolate is a very powerful. Chocolate is a very powerful substance because it's used to essentially absorb impurities, right? So if you've ingested like a toxin or something, I think chocolate tablets sort of are given to given to patients.
Correct. It's absorptive and adsorptive in its nature as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think for me, I mean, not to I mean, everything you have on offer is amazing. Number one thing for me, chocolate. The chocolate is definitely, where I'd start.
Okay. Well, Shavak, I think we'll call it a wrap anyway. It'd be great to get you on another time if it allows. And thank you for sharing your journey on here. Sometimes we get, we've been receiving comments and messages via email through Gaia's Riches platform. If something comes directed to you, would you be happy for me to pass it on? Because
of course, and you can put my email address on there, shavak@gmail.com. I'm always happy to chat about these things, as you could probably tell. It's always it's a passion project of mine. So always happy to chat.
Excellent, Shavak. Take care, and we'll be seeing each other soon.
Yeah, see you on the squash court soon, Dash. Yeah.